In lesson 09, we're going to review some statistical measures. Our objectives are to find the measures of center, spread, and position of a set of data. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the measure of center. Now, statistics is the science of collecting, organizing, displaying, and analyzing data in order to draw conclusions or make predictions. So statisticians take and organize data to try to make predictions. The branch of statistics that focus on collecting, summarizing, and displaying data is called descriptive statistics. We're going to collect those stats and we're going to describe what we've found through the patterns and through the data that we've seen. The entire group of an interest to a statistician is called the population. So the population is what we're going to be sampling, or at least taking values out of. If we look at the entire group, it's called population. A variable is a characteristic of a population that can assume different values called data. So we go into the population, we run an experiment, or we run a trial, and we see what kind of values we get back. And we take those values and we collect the data on that. Data that include only one variable are called univariate data. Uni meaning one, like a unicycle. And we're only going to look at one variable throughout that set of data. When it's not possible to obtain data about every member of the population, a representative sample or a subset of the population is selected. There are many times when we can't get the entire population and ask them the question, or weigh them, or measure them, or ask them a different question. So we take a sample of them, and from that small sample try to generalize to the larger population. We're going to be concerned with finding the center of some data here. So univariate data are often summarized using a single number to represent what is average or typical. Measures of the average are also called measures of center or central tendency. The most common measures of center are mean, median, and mode. So we're going to go out as statisticians, we're going to run an experiment, we're going to collect some data, and we're going to bring this data back. We're going to say, what is one value that can represent this data the best? There are three ways to represent the middle, or the average, or the typical of a set of data. You're probably familiar with these. They're mean, median, and mode. The mean is simply the average. There's a couple things I'd point out here, that they're using the Greek letter mu to represent the average. You simply add up all your data, divide by the number of data scores, or data values. Another way to measure the middle of a set of data is the median. What I want to remind you in the median is that you arrange your values in numerical order, and then you want to find the middle score, or the middle two scores. And if there's two scores in the middle, then you average them. And then the mode is another way of predicting the center of your data. And the mode is simply the data value that occurs the most often. And there may be more than one mode in a set of data. If you have two or three sets of values that occur the same number of times and more frequently than others, then you could have a bimodal or a trimodal set of data. So let's apply some of this information to our soft drinks example. The number of milligrams of a sodium in a 12-ounce can of 10 different brands of regular Coca-Cola are shown below. Find the mean, median, and mode. So we're going to take them in order. We're going to find the mean, and the mean can be symbolized by the Greek letter mu. In order to find mean, or average, you would take your 10 scores here, add them up, and divide by 10. So really it's the sum of all these, 50 plus 30 plus 25 plus 20 plus 40 plus 35 plus 35 plus 10 plus 15 plus 35. And then we'd have to divide by the total number of data values that we have, which are 10. So, okay, I'm going to take and crunch those out. It's a little bit time consuming, but we're going to do 50 plus 30 plus 25 plus 20 plus 40 plus 35 plus 35 plus 10 plus 15 plus 35 equals 295. We're going to divide it by 10, and we have our average. On average, we will find 29.5 milligrams of sodium in a can of cola. Now that's one way of representing the center of that data. Another way of representing the center of the data is by using the median. Now with the median, it's relatively easy to calculate, but you got to remember to put your data set in order. So I typically go from low to high, so I want a 10, and then a 15, and then after 15, our next largest is 20, and and after 20 I think there's a 25, and then we need 130, and then we need 1, 2, 3, 35, so 1, 2, 3, 35s this away, and after that we need a 40 and a 50, 40 and a 50. Now the median means we have to find the middle of this data set, and we work off the ends, and you can cross them out if you like. Work off the front and the back, front, back, front, back, front, back, and we're left with, if we do a front, back again, we're left with two values in the middle. Every time you have an even number of data in your set, you should have two numbers in the middle, and now you take and average those two numbers. So now we're going to do the average of 30 and 35. So we would take 30 plus 35, and you would average it, divide by 2. And the average, or the middle, between 30 and 35 is 32.5. Okay, so that's our median. The median is the middle number in your data set. It doesn't have to be a number that's in your data set. In this case, 32.5 was never found, so our median is a little bit different than our mean, but it still is a measure of central tendency. Our final one is the mode, and the mode is probably the easiest to determine, because the mode, all you need to do is find the data value or values that occur the most often. In our data set, we have a single mode because 35 occurred 3 times. No other data value occurred more than once, so the mode is 35. So the most often occurring level of sodium is 35 milligrams. So there are 3 different numbers to try to give you a description of the center of the data of the milligrams of soda in a cola. Each one of these is a little different, as we said, in value, but they all kind of try to tell you what the middle score value is. It's called your central tendency.